What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Sideline Debrief. Once again, it's your boys, Ethan and Jamie, and we're going to be talking about a few different topics today, kind of going all around. It's been a slow week for sports with no F1 race and the international break. So, our
Still some
usual
exciting
sporting
stuff with the
topics.
international
Yeah,
break.
no, still some stuff to cover here, but for the most part, a pretty quiet weekend. So, I think we're going to start today with the coaching managerial changes not only in the Premier League, but we're also going to touch a little bit on the Bundesliga and just kind of the impact and the knock-on effect that each of these firings have. So I think we should start with Bayern Munich. I think you're going to handle this one.
Yeah. Um, so I briefly went over on Reddit and everything and whatnot on the Bayern Munich Reddit, and
Mm,
it was a shock departure, to be quite honest. They're going through
mm,
pretty well in the Champions League. They're having it rough domestically. But I
yeah,
mean, Nagelsmann, I guess there's a ton of controversy with I apparently he was telling Kimmich to tell the players tactics. He wasn't directly telling the players. He was dating a reporter, so the players didn't trust him. Um,
they broke
and
up. They broke up the same day
yeah,
he got fired. Rough
well,
day.
that's unfortunate. And tactically, he's just a mess apparently. Just like so, there's all of that, but still though, you're like it's near the end of the season. It's not like you're still going through with the Champions League, and you might have one year where you don't win the domestic league, which it's Bayern. You have to win. That's just the nature of the club.
Yes.
But I mean, I would have just waited it out till the summer. But they already have Thomas Tuchel. They got him immediately, and I'm sorry you were a Spurs fan. You could have gotten Thomas Tuchel.
I didn't even
Um,
want Thomas Tuchel.
but he is still a great coach. You might not have wanted him,
Oh yeah,
but it's not a bad replacement with Conte. But he's already in Bayern, Thomas Tuchel, and I believe he coached Dortmund too. So just another coach to go from
he
Dortmund.
did.
Yeah, just another coach to go from Dortmund to Bayern. Um, but yeah, and now Nagelsmann is linked with Spurs potentially now too. Isn't he not the number one candidate for permanent, or is
He's
Pochettino?
he's the one I want. A little bit about Bayern though. I think I was reading things where Nagelsmann's quite young for a head coach. He's
Oh,
only
he's very
35.
young. Yeah,
So there, with the Bayern Munich, like with the dressing room, like Bayern Munich's, like you have with Real Madrid, the coach has to be a powerful personality above all else. And I don't think Nagelsmann was a powerful enough personality to command the respect of players like Mueller and Neuer, players who have won it all, been at the top of the
it's
game for years and
as well.
years
Yeah,
and years.
and even speaking of that, he fired
Mhm.
Neuer's goalkeeping coach.
Yep. And
Yeah,
Neuer had
it's
issues
just
with him personally. Yeah.
yeah. So just
Um,
issues all around the place. Like
so I think that's another reason why he went. But Tuchel, I think, is a great hire because last time he got hired mid-season, he won the Champions League.
But you
So,
also have to add in that Chelsea touch where they think they might lose everything, but then they go on to win the Champions League. That's just Chelsea too.
yep, but this
But
is
it is
also
Tuchel.
Bayern
Yeah,
Munich.
yeah, yeah.
This is Bayern Munich. They had to play City, and Tuchel usually has Pep's hand. So it'll be really interesting. I think I was surprised at first, but I think the more I look at it, they were like, Thomas Tuchel's there. Let's get him before some other club gets him
Yeah.
because they weren't sold on Nagelsmann.
And
But
imagine if
that being
Thomas Tuchel
said,
just gets a long career at a club. He's always fired
mm,
after like 2 years. It feels like. So
mm,
maybe if he has been backed obviously in previous transfer windows, but if he gets backed with the Bayern Munich transfer fee,
mm.
maybe he can go places with that team.
Yeah, he wants a long term project, and I think he might get that at Bayern. But moving on to Nagelsmann, I think he's still an amazing coach, and I would love him at Spurs. Spurs, about an hour or so ago, got a notification that they have mutually parted ways with Antonio Conte, which I have mixed feelings about because I was never 100% Conte out until the last couple of weeks
Yeah.
here. But it's happened. He's gone. He wasn't sacked, though, which I find interesting. And what I find the most interesting about it is that um, while Conte might be gone, Stellini, his assistant coach, I have it up. He's been Conte's assistant coach since 2011. Always been an assistant coach. Um,
Oh
has
wow.
always left immediately once. Conte is left, is staying. Stellini, he's going to be put in charge. I thought Ryan Mason would, like he did after
That's what I
Jose
saw
Mourinho.
too. Ryan
Mm-hmm.
Mason was
That
linked with just being the interim coach.
mm-hmm. The caretaker, but it's going to be Stellini. So I think that's shows more how Conte's had a really tough personal year too. One of his assistant manager dies. He was talking about his whole family lives in Italy. He was having a really hard time being without them. So it sounds a bit in the end like Conte's been like, hey, this isn't working, but I'm not quitting without money.
Yeah,
And Spurs were like, we're not giving you all your money, but if you're not happy, there's no point in keeping you. And then keeping Stellini keeps the boat going and
yeah,
it doesn't blow everything up. So it'll be interesting to see because it'll be a first time head coach. It's going to be really interesting to see how if he keeps Conte's five at the back system or whether he experiments with a back or something.
could be
But
that new coach bounce that we haven't seen before. Honestly,
yeah, it could be.
something
He
new, but still
was,
something the same.
I believe he's undefeated as a head coach still. He might have lost one of the games when he was a head coach, but he was something like 6-7. Oh, he lost to Milan for the first time.
Okay.
Um, but before
Well,
that, he
to
was
be
like
fair,
six,
it
seven
is
games
Milan.
undefeated as a head coach. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I think it's good for continuity, and then the focus becomes who's next. The big names rumored have been Pochettino, obviously. I think at first I was all in on Poch, but I think more of the squad needs to move on before you go back to Poch. I
Yeah.
think while you still have dead weight like Dyer, Sanchez, you still have Ndombele, Lo Celso coming back from loan. You've got way too much duck sitting there. You need to clean out the squad more, and a new manager and a fresh manager I think will do that. So I really like Nagelsmann. I would have been okay with Tuchel, but I think Tuchel hiring the third Chelsea manager in a row, former Chelsea manager in a row, is going to piss off a lot of fans.
Yeah.
So that's why it wasn't a good idea. That's one way to lose the fan base as owners. And then De Serbi, the Brighton head coach, has been linked. I think that'd be a good idea, but I want to see him do it a little bit longer. I
I
know he
mean,
was very
they are
good
what
in Italy,
sixth,
but
seventh in the Prem Brighton.
mm-hmm,
They are
mm-hmm,
very well right now, and it's with the squad that you would not think. Like they lost Trossard to Arsenal, one of their best players,
mm-hmm.
and they're still very good right now. So
Yeah,
I mean, let alone they drew to
no, I
Leeds,
like him.
so that's not a great result, but they're still sixth and seventh. So
Odd results happen here and
yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah.
It's football. That's why we play it. But no, Nagelsmann's definitely my favorite. If we get him, um, I'd be over the moon. But if not, Pochettino. And if not, there's been a few other. Let me look at the odds for Tottenham manager real quick. Who would you go for?
Who would I go for over Nagelsmann or Pochettino?
Or out of any of them? I
It's
don't.
definitely been Nagelsmann. I think right now would be better, but maybe
Mm-hmm.
if it's just a like a if you keep a guy like Nagelsmann, you want to have him long term. But maybe have him for until the summer and then have a clear wipeout, so you get rid of the players
Mm-hmm.
like Dyer, Sanchez, and all them.
Mm-hmm.
Not have a because you guys did buy a ton of new players. You got Pedro Porro for example. You got players that just came in, so you don't have a huge transfer fee or transfer money
Yeah.
that you can go after. But release all of them and then bring in Pochettino in the summer. That's what I would do. But that's a dream. That's dream work right there.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what they're going to try to do. Managerless for about a month or so, and then they'll bring in a manager before the end of the season. But the manager won't go straight to the sideline. I
Yeah.
think they'll be more like Nagelsmann. He just got fired. I could see hammering out a deal with Nagelsmann, saying, "Hey, you don't need a coach yet. We just want you looking at the squad, making decisions, what players you want to keep, and next season you can have the whole preseason and next season freshen out the team." So that's my thought on it. There's also Postecoglou. Don't know if I said that right. He's the Celtic manager, Marco Silva, the Fulham manager, and Thomas Frank, the Brentford manager.
I did see the Thomas Frank one, and I did see a ton of Spurs supporters on the Reddit saying no about Thomas
Yeah,
Frank.
I wouldn't want Thomas Frank.
Yeah, he seems like a great manager, but it's just very niche to Brentford, from what I can see for
Yes,
his coaching.
he's the perfect fit for Brentford. I wouldn't want him at Spurs.
Exactly. It's kind of like
So,
how Nuno was great at Wolves. Then he went to Spurs.
Yeah,
You don't want
that's
that
I
happening
that
again.
was the thought that crossed my mind. I hated it.
Yeah.
And then last but not least, Patrick Vieira,
Him getting sacked, yeah,
who got
and it
fired last week.
was. It's not a shock. Palace were 38 points, 9 point or 3 points at 12th. No
They're in terrible
results.
form.
Either yeah, it's either no results or draws, and they can't score. And now they're four
Mhm.
points ahead of the relegation zone. So
Yep,
they are in the
they
relegation
haven't
fight.
won since last year.
Yeah, they're in the relegation fight now with everybody below them. Like,
Hmm hmm
and they could very
They've
well go down still. So
Yep. I think Roy Hudson's a really sensible,
it makes sense,
sensible
yes. And it's like he because he has
hire.
experience. It's like get in here, do it, and then you can retire. We'll give you some extra money. But
Yeah,
it's like the dude's, you know, he's old.
he he failed with Watford, yes, but Watford were going down. I think it's a great thing. He's at the club. I think he's gonna do exactly kind of what Javi Garcia has done with Leeds.
Yeah,
He's just gonna sit in. He's gonna make it impossible to score against you, and he might grab one goal a game. And they're gonna get
that's not what
8
Javi
points from
Garcia is
drawing,
doing. To be fair,
but solidifying the back,
solidifying the bag,
saying,
yes. And I guess the Wolves game is an outlier. Like we against Southampton, it was 1-0, Brighton 0-0. Wolves it was 4-2, so we still got scored on, but we scored more. That was an
yeah.
outlier.
But the
But
whole
yeah, I
point
know what you're
is
talking about. Just get at
you
least just get
you're,
points. That's all it is.
you're letting the other team have the ball, and you're just saying, have it.
Yeah, they
We'll
just
beat
need.
you on the
I
counter.
believe it's a point a game for the rest of the season if they can average that,
Mm-hmm.
and then they're clear. And if they can just do that, that's all they care for right now.
Yep. So be interested to see how that develops from there. But I think Palace should have enough to stay up. I was talking to my brother, who's a Palace fan, about it. He was kind of, Vieira needed to go. It was over, but didn't really want Roy Hudson. But all season, he's kind of just been like,
Yeah,
that
well,
just
it's
seems like Crystal
Palace.
Palace.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and to be fair, I
yeah.
heard on a podcast that they got Vieira not because he was a great coach, just because he was a great player that for the publicity.
Mhm.
So that never really works from the start.
It does when you pick Zidane
It
at Real
okay.
Madrid.
If you're talking about Zidane, that's different. We're talking about
Yeah, it's different
yeah.
level, but
Patrick
yeah,
Vieira was
yeah,
also a great French midfielder, but
not a good coach.
yeah, you can see because he
Yeah,
coached Crystal Palace and Zidane coached Real Madrid. You don't even have to say what their record was, and you can say which one's the better coach.
Vieira's had other jobs too. Trying to
Not to the
see.
level of Real Madrid, though.
I know. He was at Nice, I believe. Yes, Nice and New York City
Yeah,
FC.
not the greatest CV, but it is a CV nonetheless.
Yes,
All
you're
right.
right.
Are there any
Okay.
other managers that we
None that
want to
have
go
been
over?
fired recently. That I know that Carlo Ancelotti was on his way out. It looks like so. Nagelsmann's
Yeah,
been linked to Real Madrid, um, and then PSG are always looking to fire their coach and bring in someone new. So
that is true.
nothing else. Nothing else really going on in the any big firings that I've seen. So yeah, I think that's all about sacking
All
coaches.
right. So in the next video, we're going to be talking about Intercity, I believe, and
Mm-hmm.
after that, we will have another topic for you guys later on. But all right, for now, see ya.
Perfect.